Thank you, Jim, and thank you to each and every single one of you for being here today. First, I'd like to say that my parents, they came to this country because they saw a nation which you could work hard. And after a week's worth of work, after putting in 40 hours a week, you could save money for a home, buy a car, buy a television. It was a big deal back then. You could take your family out on vacations. They saw a nation in which you could retire with dignity with Social Security. They saw a nation that put a man on the moon. And they saw a nation in which if your son or daughter studied hard, they could become doctors, lawyers, engineers, or at the very least a poor politician. We need a government that works. And government is not, as many of the demagogues put it, many people put it, it's this far-off boogeyman entity. No, we make the government. Government is a tool. And if we're serious about fixing our government, we have to change our Congress. There is too much effort put into obstructionism these days. And President Obama, I believe he came in with good faith. If you read his books, he talks about working across the aisle. But 8 years, and we've had very little accomplished. If we look at a time when Ronald Reagan served with Tip O'Neill, yeah, they'd had fierce debates on the Senate and House floor. But at the end of the day, they could go out to lunch and dinner, and they could get along. We need to foster those relationships. And who better than a social worker to foster those type of relationships in Congress, right? Gerrymandering, to address this point, it is a reality. I mean, if I got $1 every single time that someone in the township of Union in Union County was surprised that someone in the Union Township in Hunterdon County knew that we were in the same district, if I raised $1 every single time I heard surprised with that, I could stop fundraising, honestly. It is a gerrymandered district. You don't go from Union all the way up to Warren, all the way down to Montgomery, then the border of Pennsylvania, and not call it gerrymandering. Believe me, I love the people, especially the beautiful people out in Warren and Hunterdon County. Nothing beats the clean air, water, or the people in those places. But we need a government that's truly representative, and we need to protect our democracy. And when a district leans further right, it doesn't enable democracy to happen. This is what forces our parties to become so partisan. We are in a country now where there are people who say we can't afford to give people health care. We can't afford to give people education, but we could afford corporate handouts. When has it ever been in the American spirit to say we can't afford something? I recommend and I suggest we do better as a nation. But the struggles will be difficult. And I know that I may not see the promised land to ensure these things for future generations. But I will fight for it because we need people with vision in our Congress, people who look beyond the profit lines of corporations, but look towards tomorrow. And so I'd like to conclude with the words that I think brought people like Dwight Eisenhower, that brought Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, LBJ, and people like Millicent Fenwick together. And that vision, I think, was encompassed in the words of John F. Kennedy while he stood at Rice University in 1962, I believe. And he looked out into the crowd of students, professors, administrators, and even the janitors came out to hear John F. Kennedy speak. And JFK looked out and said, "We go to the moon and do the other things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because by setting that goal, we serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and our skills. It is a challenge, one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. On November 8th, I ask you to look carefully because we intend to win on November 8th. Thank you.